Hey, bud.
Hey mate, how you going?
All right.
That's
Hear
right.
me,
Sorry.
hear me okay?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, clear as anything.
Mate, sorry to stuff you around.
No dramas at all, mate. Absolutely no dramas. Everything all right on that end?
Yeah, computers are those things where they're a bit like women. You love them and you hate them all at once.
I'm with you, mate. I'm with you 100%.
So it looks like you brought the coffee along. That's good to see.
100%, mate, with a good message on it too. So,
Break the stigma of mental illness. Nice.
yeah,
What do you drink? What's your coffee of choice?
mate, I usually drink Nescafe Barista Blend.
Oh, wow.
Good.
Get the plugs in early.
Yeah, mate. Yeah.
Nice. Keep the sponsors happy, I say.
Well, that's it, mate. I wish.
Do you know Glenn from Youth U program?
Yeah, mate. Yeah. I got to meet Glenn. I went down to Melbourne. I think it was at the end of last year. No, yeah, it was the end of last year. I went down to Melbourne and just sort of done a bit of meet and greet with a few different people, and Glenn was one of them people, and mate, he's just a very amazing man.
Isn't he?
Very inspirational.
He's a good bloke. He's in my state at the moment. He's in Queensland doing a book tour and getting out to all the schools and stuff like that. So it's really good to see.
Yeah, he's doing big things, mate. It's awesome. I'm trying really hard to get him here in Corowa. It's needed here, mate. The drug scene here is ridiculous.
Is it?
It's something that really needs to be done here, and hopefully I can get along with council well enough to get him here, mate. Fingers crossed. So,
Yeah, nice. So whereabouts are you?
in Corowa, New South Wales, we're right down on the border, New South Wales Victorian border.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sort of. You know where Albury is?
Yep.
Yeah, we're just near Albury.
So it's bloody cold tonight. Is that what you're saying?
Freezing cold. Yeah. I'm sitting inside with a jumper on.
Exactly. Have you always been out that way, Pat?
Mate, originally I'm from Wagga, or Wagga Wagga, if people don't know what Wagga is. But
Is that the same place? Sorry for my being geographically challenged, but is Wagga? No.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, Wagga and Wagga Wagga is
Same place.
Same place, mate. Yeah.
Just that Aussies like to shorten everything, so Wagga Wagga became Wagga.
Yeah, we get lazy when we speak.
2 syllables is all we have time for.
Yeah, that's right, mate. Exactly right. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so originally from there, I lived in Wagga. I shifted around a bit, sort of in my late teens. Moved to Wollongong for a couple of years with the family, with mum and dad, and then we moved back for family reasons. And then as a 18-year-old, I decided that I hated Wagga. I didn't want to be there anymore. So
why'd you hate it?
Oh, mate, I think I was just a teenager.
It's funny, isn't it? Like I grew up on the Sunshine Coast, a place called Coolum Beach. Coolum Beach is one of the nicest beaches on the planet.
Yeah.
And I remember being 13, 14, 15 and saying, I can't wait to get out of this shithole. And it's one of the nicest places in the world.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I don't know why everyone wanted to leave.
I think it's just a hometown thing, like you sort of get to a point where you go, I might leave here, but it's true, home's where the heart is. And I kept moving back to Wagga as a sort of teenager. And then, I got married, can't really remember, a while ago.
It was a great day though.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Got married, mate, had a couple of kids, and now we decided that Wagga, it's just getting too big, and we really like the country lifestyle. So like Corowa down here, I think there's like 6,000 or 7,000 people here now. And,
yeah, okay.
It's right on the river. It's beautiful, mate. You don't get much more country, I don't think.
Yeah, nice. Kids?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, kids love it. So I've got 2. My little girl, she's 7, and my young fella's 5 tomorrow. So.
Oh, congratulations! That's good.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so I had him.
Good ages
now, which is good. So.
Nice.
Yeah. So. Mate,
they're turning into people.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, humans.
Exactly. That's right.
It's crazy, You sort of wake up one day and all of a sudden they're stringing sentences together, and you're like, where'd this come from? All of a sudden.
Exactly. My boy's 14 this year, and I remember when he was, 2, 3, 4. And I used to think, I wish he were 13 or 14 and we could have some really good conversations. And now that he is 13 and 14, I think, I wish he were 5 again.
I'm with you, mate. I know exactly what you mean. I certainly don't. I don't wish my kids' life away, but it's what happened then?
Lost you.
Sorry. I've been loving watching them grow to this day anyway, and hopefully, mate, I can continue to watch that until they get old. So
that's right.
I'd love to be here for that.
And then they start looking after you at some point, apparently.
Yeah, that's right, mate. The tide will turn. I can't wait.
That's right. So be nice to them now.
Yeah, that's right, mate. Yeah, exactly right. Exactly.
Pat, tell me about high school. What were you like as a high school student?
Mate, in all honesty, I was an absolute prick of a kid. I won't lie to you. Look, I don't know. I guess high school was a bit of a up and comer for me, I suppose, in a way. I was bullied a lot at primary school, and moved to high school, and I was still sort of around similar kids that I went to primary school with, and I was still bullied, not as much, but I was also an easy target, mate. I was just a skinny little kid that.
Is that why you were bullied, like just being a bit smaller than the rest, or was there more to it than that?
Mate, look, I'm not real sure, to be honest. I sort of, I don't really delve too much into it, I just sit back now and I see that, I can see from the past, how much I hate bullying and stuff like that because I've sort of been there, I never, it's the old saying, sticks and stones. That's sort of where I was. Names will never hurt me. They did, that nursery rhyme, that poem's not exactly a truth, I don't believe.
Exactly.
Names can hurt just as much as sticks and stones can. And, I developed a good group of friends while I was at school, which was good. And at high school, you leave, you pass behind when you leave primary school and going to high school. It was good because I got to meet all these new people and I developed fantastic friendships. These guys also defended me when it come time to in need and stuff like that too. So, and then in the 8th grade, I moved to Wollongong with my family, as I mentioned before. I moved up there with mum and dad, and I had to start all over again. Basically, had to start new school, meet new people,
new friends.
Yeah, that's right. And let's just put it out there now that when you go to a new school, everybody thinks it's great. Everybody goes for the new guy. Yeah, right. They certainly go for the new guy. I went back to square one. It was.
Was there an incident? Was there an incident that because I had a similar situation. Grade 8, the first term of one school, then I moved to another school, and yeah, I can relate to that 100%. Being the new kid and being a bit smaller than the rest. Was there something that stood out for you that was a pretty full-on incident in your first couple of days?
Yeah, well, man, to be honest, it was. I think it was just more being a country kid. Apparently I spoke different. When you come from Wagga Wagga, you speak different apparently.
Yeah. Because Wollongong's so amazingly,
Yeah, that's right.
Busy and city-like.
Yeah. But it was. It was pretty rough. Like the first few weeks were pretty rough there until I developed a good group of friends there as well. I mean, I had one kid, this kid dead set. He wouldn't have even come up to my nipples. He was tiny and he tried to fight me.
Yeah.
Like this guy. And he tried to fight. And as true as I sit here, I put my hand out and held him by the forehead like that, and had an arm's distance between me and him. And that sort of, I think. He wasn't one of the tough kids at school, I can guarantee that. But for some reason, he had it out for me, and I never fought him or anything, but I think I grew a bit of respect just by doing what I'd done by holding my hand out and holding his head away. Yeah, and then once again, I lived there for 2 years, developed really good friends, and then we moved back to Wagga again, and so. moved back to the same school. So I mean, it wasn't as hard as.
Why'd you keep moving, Pat? What was?
With Dad's work?
Yeah.
So Dad got a good job in Wollongong, and then we moved up there, obviously. And then my grandparents, who lived with us as well, they lived in a granny flat at Mum and Dad's place, and they both got really sick. And so, we sort of had to get back to Wagga for them where it was better for them.
Got it.
Better for us to be with them too. So, the things you do for family, mate. And,
Exactly. You got to do it.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, look, it sort of moved back to Wagga, and I guess I sort of realised the sense of power that kids had by bullying other people, and all the power they felt they had. Look, I won't say I became a bully, but I went from being bullied to thinking it was funny to pick on other people. So yeah, I suppose you could say.
What changed? What changed for you?
Puberty, I think, mate, to be honest. I learned how to stick up for myself.
Yeah.
And, I started picking on kids, and not kids, but other people. And,
yeah.
Still to this day, if I see them down the street and stuff, I've apologised to numerous people.
Yeah.
Because I know you can't take back the past, but, you can hopefully heal wounds. And
Sure.
Mate, I felt terrible, and I still feel terrible, because that's not me. That's not the person I am, especially not who I am today. And life throws lessons at you every single day, and that was one of the biggest ones.
Let's chat about that for a sec. So, what do you think? Because you obviously been. It sounds like from what you just told me, you've been on both sides of that bullying fence, and it's pretty rampant. I read stuff, I see stuff, social media, news, and there's a lot of bullying that goes on.
Yeah.
When you started to become the bully, what do you think it was? Why was that something that you thought you would do?
You know what? It's sort of a difficult one to answer, I suppose, in a way. Look, I think it was more, it was a feeling of power, I guess. Like, it was a feeling of, I was acting out. That's the best way to put it, and yeah.
Did you at high school have a bit of a thoughts of your future career, or were you just going through high school because that's what society tells us we should do?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, it was just, mate. I was only at school for the social side of things. I'm certainly not one of the smartest people in the world, and I blame myself for that, because at school's there for a reason, and I endorse it to people all the time. Stay in school, because not only is it going to be good for your education, but once you leave school, you've got to start all over again. And
exactly.
So hang out with your mates as much as you can. Love life. Be at school. Stay at school. Do the right thing for you. All these things that I've learned in my life now, after, mate, I was kicked out of school in year 11.
Well, before that's I always want to talk about that. But before that, what was the goal after school? Like, were you at?
I didn't have one, man. No.
You didn't think past high school?
No, I didn't. I still sort of, to this day, I just live every day as it comes. I don't like making plans, because plans can be broken. So I've just never, I've never really seen a future. I never knew what I wanted to do. I never knew what I wanted to be. I took on an apprenticeship as a butcher because, I had to.
It sort of showed up for you, I'm assuming.
Yeah. So, and so I took that on, and I started failing at that too, and I lost my job, and I got the sack from my apprenticeship because
Why?
I was just a dick.
Basically. In what way?
And,
what were you doing?
I wasn't studying. I wasn't doing any of my TAFE work. I suppose in a way, mate, because of the way I was at school, and I'd scrape by the skin of my teeth by not studying and stuff. I thought I could get away with it in the real world, and it's so wrong. You can't. You can't. You've got to give 100% in everything you do, because if you don't, mate, and look, in all honesty, I'm living proof. But in saying that too, you know, I tried a few different things. You know, I tried different jobs where I was a builder's labourer. Mate, I stopped and started between jobs. I've got the attention span of a goldfish. I've got to try something different. But, you know, there was just this. I was fortunate there one day. You know, when I first started my apprenticeship, I was working for a chain, like a company chain, and the boss I had at the time, he was only fresh out of his apprenticeship, and he actually approached me about, I think it was about 4 years later. He'd opened up his own shop and asked me if I wanted to come back and finish my trade. You know, I was 21 by then. And I sat down, I got stuck in, you know, and I completed it with high distinction. And, you know, that was one of the greatest things in my life, you know, was seeing the words high distinction on something that has to do with learning.
Yeah.
So, you know, that blew me away. And so I stuck out butchering for a while. And once again, I just got sick of it. And that's when we moved down here. So
just go back to the school stuff. Why did you get expelled in grade 11?
So, right, acting out again, you know, I was just trying to be the centre of attention at school in the playground one day. And I all but broke into one of the guys in my year's car and moved his car back in car space. You know, I won't say broke in because a mate of mine had a car the same, and his key
fit in.
Yeah,
wow.
So I let myself into his car.
Yeah, right.
Look, I moved it back a space, and I know now that it was dumb, and you know, let's say we all do stupid things in life, but we learn from them. You know, that's the thing, and so I'm going to do. I learn now that my father done stupid things when he was my age too, and younger, and like, I'll never tell my kids what I've done until they sort of get to my age either, because what Dad done to me.
Yeah.
You know, you try and mold your kids to be the best they can, and once they start failing, that's when you turn and go, I've done worse.
So with that in mind, like, was your father a positive role model for you?
Look, I love my dad more than life itself. Dad and I haven't always had a fantastic relationship. Role model wise, look, when I was growing up, no. We never done anything, and Dad and I have sat down and spoken about this. You know, like, we never used to do anything together. The only things we ever done together was yard work. You know, working in the backyard and the front yard and stuff. And that was it. You know, I don't hate my dad for that now. You know, I don't hate him for it at all because he's taught me life skills.
What would have made it a better relationship for you? Give me some examples of what you would have liked as a kid.
Mate, I would have loved to have gone over the park and kick the footy or go fishing and you know, all the things that kids want to do with their dads. You know, boys want to do with their dads. And, you know, if I ever brought up the word fishing, Dad would be, bloody fishing, I hate fishing, boring, you know.
And why was he like that, do you think?
I don't know. I've never, you know, like I've never actually asked him that question. I've never really asked him, but yeah, like I say, it's I don't hate my dad for the way that we were, because as I said, you know, he's taught me life skills. He's taught me to give something a go. You know, he's taught me, you know, you don't have to win as long as you have fun. You know, he's taught me all the good things in life, the things that are definite life lessons. And you know, it wasn't till my 18th birthday, you know, Dad used to be the same, I suppose. He'd get around mates and he'd have a few beers and he'd just make me, he'd belittle me. You know, he'd belittle me in front of his friends. And on my 18th birthday, I'd had enough and I confronted him about it. And mate, we went toe-to-toe on my 18th birthday. And, you know, it wasn't great, but it was also the start of our relationship now. It was the start of our, it was like, it's what we needed, you know. Like it's
so when you said confronted him, what happened?
I just told him that he's been a dick.
Yeah.
You know, basically. And look, I apologise for swearing and stuff, mate. But, you know, I just told him that this is what he was doing and I didn't like it. You know, and I won't say I told him. I started yelling at him. You know, I started getting really angry with him.
This is in front of your mates and family and stuff like that?
Yeah, and then, you know, and then mate, things escalated and I took off, went out in the front yard and Dad followed me, as he always, you know, he'd always do, you know, got the count of three and if you don't come back, you know,
he's after you. Yeah.
And this one night, mate, I just had enough, and I threw a haymaker at him, and I don't know what come over me and why I done it, but I did, and
You didn't connect though.
no,
Probably lucky you did.
yeah, mate, I reckon he could have nearly buried me. But you know, it's sort of funny, and when you do something like that, you sit back and you realise how close to losing something that was so important. You know, like I don't know if I had connected, you know, like would he still speak to me or would he, you know, disown me, whatever. I don't know. I don't, you know, I don't care anymore because I didn't. And now Dad and I, we're the closest. We're best mates, you know, and we're father. It's like we're father and son second, best mates. I absolutely love that.
That's great, mate, and it's such a good end to a story like that. Do you think that it took you confronting him in that way for that to change?
I think it did. I think it played a very, very big part in it. You know, I believe that it was the reason why we are the closeness, the close mates that we are today.
That you are now, yeah, good one.
I speak to Dad weekly. You know, like he's still in Wagga. You know, now it's only an hour and 45 minutes away.
So you catch up regularly, yeah?
Yeah, we catch up quite a lot. And, like, every time I get off the phone to him, I always finish with "love you."
Yeah, nice.
Something that I never used to say because, you know, up until recently, like, you never really realise what you have until it's nearly gone. So.
Yeah, well, my old man died when he was 52. So whenever I hear a story like that, you know, it's good because whenever someone will listen, I say, look, you know, make sure you have that extra 5 minutes with your dad, or make that phone call, or because I never can again, you know. So, it's good to hear. What about your mum? How do you and your mum get along?
I'm a mummy's boy, 100%. Yeah, no, look, I'm the youngest of three kids. You know, I've got two older sisters, and oh yeah, mate, I love my mum. She's my bread and butter. I love mum. She's great.
That's great.
You know, she's old Vix, mate. She's yeah, she definitely knows how to make me smile, but she also knows how to make me cry too. So,
I bet.
She's kept me on my toes, and I've definitely kept her on her toes.
Yeah, mum and dad are still together.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. They've I think they're. Oh, if I get this wrong, they'll probably murder me. But I think they're coming up to. No, they are, mate. They're coming up 40 years.
Oh, that's impressive.
40 plus years. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, they're still kicking. Yeah,
oh, well done. That's really good.
They fight like cats and dogs most times. But,
yeah.
They're in love, and that's all.
She throws haymakers at him as well.
Mate, I've been on. As true as I sit here, mate, I've been on the receiving end of one of Mum's right hooks.
Oh yeah.
And, it's not nice. So I'd hate to see if Dad got one.
Exactly. He'd start running then, I'm sure.
Yeah, mate. Yeah.
Mate, let's fast forward. You've done the butcher thing, and let's talk about the three words. It's on your hat, it's on your jumper, it's all over your social media. Yep. What are the three words?
So, mate, the three words were originally "I need help." Three of the hardest words that I have ever said. You know, it's all come off the back of my suicide attempt back in 2015, so only a couple of years ago, but still a day that I remember as clear as anything. As you know, clearly I've stated before with bullying and everything, you know, like everything sort of stems back to a long, long time ago, but I've lived with my own emotions for what was 30 years. I lived with my own emotions, and I dealt with everything in my own way to a point where, you know, I wouldn't come home and tell my parents about being bullied at school, because at the end of the day, they had their own jobs, and I felt like they had their own troubles that they needed to worry about. They didn't need to worry about anything else. I used to get very angry very easily, which was a build-up of emotions. I just numerous big things, and I just sort of dealt with everything in my own way, and it got to a point where I was sick of it. I was sick of dealing with it all on my own, or as I thought was going to be on my own. And I got to a point where I just tried to end it, and I felt like I had to end it. I felt like this was the only option I had, was to take my own life. And the one morning I said goodbye to the wife and kids. I was off work sick, and yeah, just sort of I that day was the day of my attempt, and it wasn't until I finally opened up and sought the help that I needed, and told my wife that I needed help, that I realised that I did have a support network, and I got so much great advice of so many great people, and when I opened up on Facebook to my circle of friends, a lot of them contacted me and said that they were going through the similar thing, and that's why I started the page, was because I had a circle of friends that needed help.
Exactly.
And not that I could throw out all the help, but if we could get together, maybe we could chat and help each other out. And so yeah, that was the original 3 words, was I need help.
That's so good, mate.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, let's go back a little bit then. So at what point, because we talked about you being bullied, but then that sort of flipped into you becoming a bit of a bully, and that was your words. At what point after school and after doing the butcher thing, or maybe during, did you start to feel this way?
Mate, look, in all honesty, I can't give a time or a day. I can't give anything, because I dealt with it all myself for so long. The only real time, like I'd excuse me, sorry, I'd had suicidal thoughts in the past, before my actual attempt, but like, strangely enough, I put everything down to growing up. That's what I always thought it was. I just thought it was part of growing up. These strange feelings that I was getting, and the only reason, like, I sort of look back now, and with help of my psych, I realise, a lot of this now is because I look back at it, and as I said, I thought it was part of growing up, but I only thought that because I didn't open up and ask anybody about it. So because I was so naive to asking for help, I just had that inkling in my head that, this is just me being a 16-year-old, or this is me being an 18-year-old. This is what other 18-year-olds feel like. Instead of turning to my sisters who have been 18 and asking, is this what an 18-year-old should feel? And then they would have turned it to me at the time and said no. I just went, it's all part of it. So I just kept living my life that way. And as I said, it got to that point where I just had enough, and I couldn't deal with that anymore. I couldn't deal with living with this on my own. And, well, as I said, as I thought, on my own. I couldn't deal with having these thoughts just pop up into my head all the time, and just.
What sort of thoughts were they, Pat?
Like feeling worthless, feeling like I was a burden on everybody, on society. I've always been the center of attention. I've always been the fun guy, and that's one thing I tell everybody all the time. Like, people always see me as that person, but yet behind closed doors it was completely different. And that's one thing I hated, was coming home and having to take that mask off so that I could be myself behind the closed doors instead of being able to be myself. I hated that. I hated not being able to be myself in public, because I didn't want people to think there was something wrong. And I was sick of it, and I was sick of telling people that I'd be there for them without them telling me that they're there for me as well. So yeah, I just got sick of everything, and I just felt like I said, I felt like I was being a burden on my wife and my kids. Mate, I thought my kids and my wife would be better off with my superannuation than me.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
mate,
that's pretty heavy, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, like that's exactly what I thought. I thought super will get paid out; they'll be right. They can have that. They're better off. They can buy pretty things. They can buy whatever they want with that, and it can be a gift from dad, their old dad. Cara, my wife, I thought she'd be able to find somebody that'd treat her right. You know, I'm not saying I don't treat her right, but I never
That's
felt like
just
I
where your
saw that.
thoughts went to.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm,
you know, and I always thought that she'd have somebody that could love her more than I would,
mm,
and love my kids more than I could. I always thought there'd be somebody out there to be a better dad to my kids than I could be.
mm.
And like I said, you know, these are all thoughts that would just pop up randomly.
Well,
Uh,
so you eventually, as you say, you took an attempt on your life in 2015. So that's like 2.5 years ago.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
you're well into your marriage. You've got both the kids at this point.
yep,
Tell me how the relationship was with your wife back then.
yeah. Like, look, in all honesty, it was great. It was fantastic. You know, we just recently moved here to Corowa. We'd been here for 7, 8 months, I think it was, and uh, she was in a job she loved. I was in a job. I won't say I loved it. I was in a job. You know, it got me over here, and that's all
What
that
were you
matters.
doing then, mate?
I was working in a factory. I was a supervisor in the factory, and the conditions there weren't fantastic. So
Got it.
yeah, look, but it paid the bills.
Yeah.
You know, and
Would you have these thoughts at work? I'm assuming you would.
yeah, yeah, I did.
Mm.
You know, but the thing was too was there was a lot of time where I wouldn't even go to work because I was sick of going to the same thing and sick of going to them conditions and sick of feeling that way about that place, you know. And I felt like nobody wanted me as well. Again, you know, like because I'd applied for numerous jobs and got declined, and you know all these different things, and that sort of that doesn't do well up here for up here
No,
either.
it really
All of a
doesn't.
sudden, yeah, and so yeah, like our relationship was great. You know, we were.
But if she knows you're not going to work, and you know she obviously would be understanding that you're not going to work because you don't like it. Did you guys have conversations about why you weren't going to work?
She used to ask me why or if I was okay, and I'd always respond with "Yeah, I'm fine." You know, that amazing four-letter word, fine. Feeling neurotic and emotional.
It's fine is never fine, right?
No, that's right, mate. That's exactly right. But you know, and that's was always my response. Yeah, I'm fine. You know, I'm fine. Just had a bit of I wasn't feeling well. You know, that
Mm.
I don't think she knew I didn't like the place, but she never knew I didn't go because
She didn't know the real reasons.
yeah, yeah. So you know, I'd all of a sudden develop a headache overnight. You know, like and a migraine. Right? I've never had migraines in my life, and all of a sudden
Mm.
I was getting migraines.
Would she call you out on that though? Would she say, "Look, there's
Nah,
something more to this"?
nah, she wouldn't. Mate, she's a beautiful lady, my wife, but
Yeah.
she doesn't stand up like that sometimes, and
Okay.
you know, and I wish she would.
Mm.
You know, I wish there's times where I tell her and I say to her, look, say no. Say if you need to say
Challenge
no,
me.
please say no. That's right, exactly.
Yeah.
But she's an absolutely beautiful woman and loves me life, and she won't do it to me.
And you know what? That's amazing too, right? Like I
Yeah,
think, and I really, first of all, I want to say I really appreciate this chat, and I love how honest you're being. I think a lot of people will get a lot out of it.
yeah,
Um, what's coming up for me though is when I get upset or I have expectations around things. That's the reason why I get upset because something's not showing up the way I want it to show up.
yep,
So what I'm kind of getting is that your wife did ask you in her own way, "Are you okay?"
yeah.
You
Oh, all
know,
the time. Yeah,
but it didn't get heard the way you wanted it. So
yeah.
therefore, it's you brushed it off. Do you think that would be the case for a lot of people in your life that you weren't? Sorry, start again. They weren't giving you what you wanted, even though maybe they were trying to.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, look, it's funny you say that because I sort of had a realization. I was telling a friend of mine my story, not like going into a bit more detail, and I sort of had that realization as well. You know, like people ask in their own way, and you know, like it's not always as simple as "Are you okay?" It's not
Mm.
always as simple as "How you going, mate?" Or you know, "How you going, mate?" can be taken in a couple of different contexts. Like I mean, you walk past someone down the street, you always say, "How you going, mate?" Realistically, you're not asking how they're going. You're just saying hello.
It's just a
So,
greeting. Yeah.
yeah, that's right. And so, like, and they're different ways. I could have seen it, but I didn't. And sometimes I just feel like I had the blinkers on at the times when I really needed them on. And when people were talking to me, it was just going straight past. And like I said earlier, I've got the attention span of a goldfish. So.
Sure, but I mean, and this is in no way, targeting what I'm saying to you, but for anyone that's listening to this,
yeah.
If they're in the same boat as you, thinking, I just wish someone would sit down and ask me how I'm going,
Yeah.
Maybe for them, it's just a matter of saying, grab someone and just talk to them.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. And also, like, a big message there is listen. Listen to the person. Don't only take what you want to take out of it. As you said before, you can't just take what you need to take. You've got to listen, and you've got to be willing to listen to receive help. That's something as well. So when I try and throw that message out there all the time with people, telling them to use 3 words: either I need help or are you okay? 3 words that could potentially help you or somebody else in dire need. The thing that a lot of people sort of get stuck with is, all good and well, I can go up to Joe Blow and say, "Are you okay?" What if he turns to me and says, "No"?
No, I'm not. That's right.
That's right. And that's when I say to him, "Look, you've got to be willing to listen to Joe Blow. That's the thing. You've got to be willing to sit there and listen with Joe Blow. Don't sit there and tell Joe Blow what you think he needs to do, but listen.
Don't fix them.
Yeah, that's right. I'm never going to know how many people I've helped, and I don't care. As long as I've helped one, that's all that I care about. If I've helped one person, I'm happy. If I've helped 1,000 people, excellent. But one person, and that one person could be walking down the street right now, and if I just walk up and say, "How you going?" or "Are you okay?" and he says no, or she says no, I know that I'm going to be willing to listen to them. And but it goes on the same token as well. And in the mental health space, I suppose it's hard when you live with mental illness. Sometimes that's all you feel like doing is blocking people out. And when it comes down to that, you've got to have self-help strategies in place as well, to try and get yourself out of that position where you can sit and talk to people. So.
Mate, I'm reluctant to do this, but I think I'd like to do it, and talk about the day that you did take an attempt on your life. Now, you said your wife went to work, the kids went to school, you were having a sick day because your head wasn't in the right spot to be going to work.
Yep.
At what point did you say, today's going to be the day I try to kill myself?
In the morning. Would have even been an hour after my wife took the kids to school. Excuse me. So the lead up is the big part. So this all happened on a Tuesday, was the day that it was, but it was the Monday that was the real kicker. So I woke up on the Monday morning, and I really, really struggled to get out of bed on the Monday. Forced myself out of bed, threw myself out of the shower, and I drove to work. But as I was driving to work, I started feeling really ill in the stomach, like really ill, got to work and raced to the toilet, threw up. And, it felt like I was good to go then, and went to walk out. As soon as I took a step out of the toilet doors, had to go back in and go again. 3 times this happened to me. And one of the guys I worked with, he's come in to me and he said, "Paddy, go home, mate. You need to go home." I said, "Yeah, mate, I don't know what's come over me. I just feel like crap." Got out the doors, got back in the car and started driving home. And it was a 20-minute drive, to my workplace, which in Brisbane, mate, that's a kilometre down the road for you.
That's next door.
Yeah, that's right. 20-minute drive. So as I was driving home, miraculously I started feeling better, and I thought, I must have got this bloody 24-hour WOG thing that was getting around, So I've come home, and because I was in a food environment, I had to go to the doctors and get a doctor's certificate, and they put us down to a being gastro. Just a mild case of gastro. So they give me 24 hours symptom free. So the next day I couldn't go in until I was 24 hours symptom free.
Got it.
ring up work, tell them, yep, no problem. And that was when it all started. I just sort of, while I was sitting at home, I was just thinking about everything. I was thinking really hard about things. I'd lay on the lounge and I'd watch telly and I'd try and get to sleep and I couldn't sleep. And I'm thinking, why can't I sleep? Everything was just sort of rolling around in my mind. Didn't sleep much that night either. On the Monday night and Tuesday sort of come around, mate. If I had gotten 2 hours sleep, I would have been, I'd be happy with 2 hours. Anyway, the Tuesday morning come around and Cara, my wife, she's come in and she said, "Do you want to take the kids to school or do you want me to?" And I said, "Well, look, I probably shouldn't because if I got this gastro bug,
and they get it,
to the daycare, So anyway, she sort of said, "Yeah, right, yeah, that's no problem." So they've come out and I was sitting at the back. I was having a smoke and a coffee in the morning, and they've all come up and they said their goodbyes to me, and I held them all for that little bit longer than normal. And they were about to walk out the door, and I called them back in, and we got another kiss and a cuddle out of them again, and I'd basically said my final goodbyes. It was like in my head, without even thinking about it, I knew what I was going to do that day. I hadn't really thought too much about doing it that day, but it wasn't until they left and I sat there and I just started to cry, and I come to the realization that I'm going to take my life today. I just thought, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this. I've got to do this.
So up until then, not just that morning or the night before or, the day before, up until then, you really hadn't thought too much about doing that?
No, not really, no. I mean, look, I'd had suicidal thoughts in the past. There was times where I thought I just wanted to try to see what it felt like. There was times where, I just sort of, I'd drive past the tree or something, I'd look at the tree and go, yeah, I might take that one. But I never thought I'd get as close as I did. It was sort of, I guess in a way it was a bit of a thrill to think about it in the past. It was a bit of a thrill to think that, I could do it, but then I'd go, no way, I can't do that. It scared me.
But that morning you thought, it's going to happen today.
I developed this newfound, I had no fear anymore. I had, and even thinking about it, I sort of, and even thinking back to that day now, I'm sort of like I'm having a bit of a weird experience now, sort of thinking about it. But
it's a relieving feeling.
Yeah, like I felt relieved thinking that I'm gonna do this, and I felt like I was going to be okay. I felt everything was going to be okay.
In that moment, were you thinking selfishly about you feeling better and feeling relieved, or were your thoughts? Were there any thoughts around the kids and the wife and the family and stuff like that?
Well, without sounding disrespectful to the family, but my kids and my wife were part of the reason why I wanted to do it.
Because you thought by you not being there, it's going to make them better off.
It's going to make them happier.
Got it.
I thought that, as I said before, the superannuation had come in for them. Everything was going to be better off without me. And so, yeah, look, it's
what was the plan? What were you going to do?
Yeah, right, I'll tell you. So I don't. Normally, we're sort of trained not to talk about method, but
we don't have. We don't have to do that.
Yeah, no, that's all right. Well, look, I was going to hang myself.
In the house?
Out the front.
Yeah.
I had the perfect plan in place. Everything to a point where paramedics would find me, not anybody else. I had everything in place. It was all it come down to was me pressing the send button on my phone to my wife, and I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. So my plan. Why do you say that?
what couldn't you do? Or go through with the whole act of it, or what was
I
taking
couldn't.
over for you?
So I couldn't. I'd written a suicide note, a goodbye letter to my wife through text message, um, just so that I suppose in a way that she knew the date and time, so she had that all bang there for her forever. Like she could always just, in 10 years' time, she could, come to 10:45 and go, it was this day, this time, 10 years ago.
Did you do that thinking that would be a positive for her, or
Look,
mate?
I don't know. I don't know. I just, it's, to me, I guess it sort of sounded romantic, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I don't know. Once again, mate, I think I was just more or less thinking of myself. I was thinking she'll remember me at this time all the time. 10:45.
You'll have that annual memory, and
yeah.
Okay.
But yet I didn't want to be part of their life anymore. So it was just so weird how it all sort of happened. And so I'd typed out a bit of a poem sort of thing and a goodbye letter to Cara and the kids through text message. And I couldn't press send. I couldn't just physically I couldn't press send. And then sort of an out of body experience happened, and I reverted back to my past where I'd previously thought of suicide attempts and just went, well, what am I doing this for? What am I doing this? And all of a sudden it just clicked and dawned on me where I was and what I was doing, exactly what I was doing. And I freaked out. I honestly, I freaked out and I couldn't go through with it. I just sort of, it was one of the weirdest feelings. It was just, I sort of looked around and went, what am I doing right now? Why am I doing this?
I kind of paused and I wanted to ask a question. I guess for me, I'm very aware of, this conversation we're having is very heavy, and someone that might be watching this could be where you were that day. But at the same time, I think this, could be very helpful for someone. And I think you doing what you do these days is making a significant positive change for people. But you couldn't physically hit send. You had a moment of conscious clarity where you said, why am I doing this?
Yep.
My question for you is, or maybe your thoughts on it, why do you think some people don't have that and they do go through with it?
I think that's one of the best. That's one of life's biggest questions, I suppose. It's a question that, in all honesty, some people are just too deep in their thoughts. I think, I can't really respond because everybody has their own way of thinking, and I can only really talk about my own experiences. But it's sort of,
there's always a way out, though, isn't there? You know what I mean? Like you were very, I hate the word lucky, but you were very lucky that you had a loving wife and kids and a mum and dad that love you. And there's probably a lot of people out there that aren't as fortunate as you and I and don't have those things. But in any case, there is going to be that moment of clarity for them. Surely.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. 100%, and look, I revert a lot of everything onto my life because, it took me 30 years to realize where I needed to be in life. And it took a suicide attempt for me to realize that. I'm not saying everybody out there should do that at all. I'm not saying that, not even in the slightest, because it goes against everything I'm working for now. I'm trying to bring the suicide rate down to zero. I don't want to do this anymore because I want to get to a point where I can't do this anymore because suicide rate is zero. Job's done, you beauty, I'm out of
Exactly.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
But like I said, 30 years it took me to realise where I needed to be in life. People out there, that are a lot older than me, that still don't know. it'll happen. You've just got to give it time. You've got to give it patience. You know, I seen a really good video today that Peter Dinklage, I think it is
Dinklage, yeah.
Dinklage, that's it.
Yeah, Game of Thrones, yeah.
Yeah, I seen a really good video on him today, and he basically said, "Stop asking the world, and do not tell the world. Do not tell the world when you're ready. Show it. Just show it. Don't ask the world why you're not getting what you're getting. Don't tell the world that you're ready to get what you need to get. Just show that you're ready.
Just start being that.
Start being that person. Start being you. You know, like stop hiding behind that mask. Go out there and give 110% for the day. And you know what? If you can't do that, if you need to have the day off, have the day off. Write the day off. It's okay to stay in bed every now and then, but as long as you get up and you move forward the next day, that's the biggest thing. You know, forward is the only way we can go.
That's really well said, mate. I've got a few moments throughout my life where I've had that, you know, and I'll always remember those 2 or 3 key things where I had to sort of, as you say, live up to that next level before I was ready to. Just start doing it, and then letting the rest of me and the rest of people around me catch up to that, instead of me, you know, telling the world I'm ready. Just start being it.
Yeah, exactly right, mate. Exactly.
That's great. Tell us about 3 words and what exactly is it? What exactly is it that you do?
Yeah, man. So it's a online community for people to be able to come and share their stories, or you know, they don't have to turn around and open up and share their story as a whole. You know, like some people share different you know, pictures or posts or anything like that they use to describe their story. You know, it's just it's a safe place for people to come and talk. You know, like I'm only a message click away. There's any post that comes on the page, you know, I see it come through, and if I think it's worthy of being on the page, then I'll share it to the actual page, and people comment, and you know, like they help one another out. It's literally a community of people that have just become friends through one mutual thing, which is great. There's over 5,000 people on there. There's 5,200 people on there now on a global scale, which is, it blew me away considering I literally started to help a couple of mates out. You know, and all of a sudden it's just gone gangbusters, which you know, I absolutely love. And yeah, right, it's just something that people can feel safe. It's a safe place.
What's the longer term goals for you with 3 words?
Yeah, so I'm in the process of trying to become a not-for-profit organisation. Hopefully I can get that up and running. I'm wanting to do some community events and things like that, and just try and get some community involvement, show people, you know, I live in a rural town, you know, where the suicide rate in rural people is the highest in Australia. And so, you know, I try and show people that it doesn't matter where you are or who you are, you can open up and speak. You know, like you see all over the news and everything, you see football players and you know, netball players, all people, you know, actors and all these people that are in the public eye. They're the only real voices for mental health that people can see. I'm just a standard everyday bloke, but me, along with numerous other people in Australia and the world, you're standard everyday people that, you know, we've got just as important a message as your buddy Franklin's.
100%.
You know, so, you know, we're out there just showing that as well. You know, like you can be an ordinary human and live with mental illness. You know, I don't fight this anymore. I live with it. You know, I've come to realise that it's part of my life now, and I manage it on a daily basis. You know, there are days where, you know, I'm up here, and there's days when I'm down here. And as I said before, you know, there's days that I just write off. I write the day off, and you know, I won't stay in bed, but I'll mope around the house. And that's okay. You know, and my wife understands that. You know, like my kids understand that their daddy lives with, you know, a brain problem.
Okay.
That's why daddy takes medication every day. You know, my kids, best thing they ever seen was that Inside Out movie. It's
such a good movie.
Yeah, man, it blew my mind. You know, my daughter watched it, and she was only 5, I think, at the time. She watched it. She come in and 6 she was, sorry.
Mm.
And she come in, she said to me, Daddy, I know why you've got so much anger. I said, why is that? She said, because you've got too much sadness and not enough joy.
Mm.
And I just went, who is this kid? And when did you start bringing sentences together?
That's right.
But yeah, look,
let me just ask one, Pat. Sorry, mate,
yeah,
because you mentioned your wife then, and this is one question I did want to ask. That day when, the on that dark day where you had that moment of clarity, and your wife came home, what sort of conversation did you have with her that day?
Well, strangely enough, so after I'd attempted, I got the rope and I cut it up to tiny little pieces. I didn't want that thing anywhere near me ever again. Threw it in the bin, and mate, I cried. I could have filled an Olympic swimming pool, I reckon, that day with salt tears. It was just, mate, I cried. I've never cried so much in my whole entire life. And, all I wanted was a hug. I just wanted to hug somebody, and I was lucky I had my dog there.
You got some hugs that day.
Yeah, she got some hugs.
Did she?
Had all these little red dots on the back from the tears and everything. But yeah, look, she got home and obviously my cheeks, they must have been stained from tears.
From all this crying, yeah.
Yeah, and my eyes were bright red from Lifeline, and she's come home, and the kids have come home, and they didn't get the normal reception as they usually get. Like hey, Daddy, like it was very monotone. And then Cara walks out, and she's, hey, how you going? I'm like, yeah, right. She goes, is everything okay? She looks at me, she's going, have you been crying? Yeah, I'm fine. I'll be fine. That word again, that 4-letter word. And she's like, oh, righto. So she walked inside. I had the perfect opportunity to say something to her right then.
And she asked you, right?
Yeah,
she was asking, yeah.
Yeah. And then I brushed it off, and she walked inside, the back door closed, and I started bawling. And I went, I can't do this anymore. I can't do it anymore. So I went inside and I said, we need to talk. We need to sit down and talk. She's going, righty. I said, no, we'll put the kids to bed first. She's going, no, stuff that, we need to talk. And so, yeah, we sat down at the back and I cried a lot. I said to her, I need help. And she said, what happened? What's going on? And I told her exactly what had happened. I told her everything. And, like we shared some tears together, which was romantic. But, we just, the one thing that sort of got us stuck though was neither of us knew what to do. Neither of us at that time knew the next step.
And nor should you, right? You guys aren't qualified or...
Yeah, that's right. So we didn't know what to do. We didn't know, like we knew that I needed help, but we're like, well, who do I see?
What's the next step? Yeah.
That's right. Anyway, so I went on the Black Dog Institute website and had a look and stuff, and I still didn't get much out of it then. I think once again I had my blinkers on. I was in no space for concentrating on anything anyway. So it wasn't until the next day that I went into work and spoke to my manager at work and said to him that he said to me jokingly, he said, "Oh, how's your couple of days off?" As a joke, and I burst into tears again. And when you think that you can't cry no more, and all of a sudden
here it comes again
out your eyes, like it's
right.
And he's like, "Oh, mate, I was only joking. I was only joking."
Yeah.
Right. And I said, "No, it's not, mate. It's not." And I told him, and he just went,
how was that conversation?
It was hard.
Because
really hard.
The reason I ask is because a lot of the time, especially Aussie blokes, and I'm not trying to be racist in any way, but a lot of the time Aussie blokes struggle with that kind of deep, conversation with each other.
Exactly right, mate. And that's also part of the reason why I do what I do. But yeah, mate. Yeah, look, and I think it was easier to sort of tell him because, mate, I'd already bared my soul by throwing tears out my eyes, and as an Aussie bloke, you don't cry in front of another.
That's right, yeah.
So, yeah, I'd sort of told him, and he's gone, well, shit. And I said, well, what do I do? What do I do?
Yeah.
And he said, have you rang your doctor? I went, I'm not sick. I said, I'm not sick. He said, ring your doctor, mate. We need to get you to the doctor. So I rang the doctor, and my wife come pick me up from work and took me there. And I still remember the trip to the hospital, to the doctors, actually. It was because the song come on, it was Handled With Care by the Travelling Wilburys.
It always happens, doesn't it?
Yeah, mate, yeah. And I bawled again, like all these tears again. And I still can't listen to that song without remembering that day. But, it's also one of them songs that I like to listen to because it's got beautiful lyrics. So
got it. And it's showing you how far you've come too, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly right, man. Exactly right. So, yeah.
That's great.
I suppose that's another reason why I love doing what I do as well, is because I'm also helping educate people so that they're not in the same spot that myself and Cara are in.
Well, knowing what you know now, if you were back in that situation, what should you have done when you had that conversation with your wife?
I should have just went straight to the doctors.
Yeah.
I should have called my GP, and if I can't get a hold of my GP, if it's too late, get down to the hospital. Get yourself down to the hospital, or get someone to take you down to the hospital. Sorry. Do not drive a car if you're suicidal. Get somebody to drive you to the hospital. Have one of your best friends follow you, or your family members, whoever it's going to be. Get somebody to get you there straight away. Don't ask questions. And if you can't get to the hospital, if you have no friends around, call Lifeline. Lifeline, like they've definitely helped me out numerous times. 13, 11, 14, love it.
And that's a free call, yeah?
Yeah, it's a free call. And if you don't want to talk to them, you can get online and you can online chat with them. I do believe that there's a text message thing happening with them as well. Like Beyond Blue, there's all these different places. Men, it's sort of funny, like suicide prevention is based a lot around the male sort of demographic in a way.
Sure.
Because, with different things like Men's Line and these different, like you hear a lot more about men when it comes to suicide prevention. And it's because we're so, I'm trying to think of the right word, but
we don't communicate as much.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we don't like to talk about our feelings.
We don't open up.
No, that's right. So yeah, it's not a heavily male dominated, but it is there's a lot of focus on the male demographic because of that reason, and especially in rural Australia, because like farmers.
He might be 1,000 k's from the next bloke, even if he did want to have a chat.
Exactly right. Yeah, exactly. So, and that's sort of something that I'm trying to bring in as well is just a monthly catch up with different communities. So.
That's great. If someone's listening or watching this and wants to help out, your vision, how best can they do that?
Look, they can contact me on the page. As you know, I've got the send message or send email button there. Contact me, have a chat with me. Can't help me. I can guarantee you I know numerous people in the space now, and there a lot of people are looking for helpers in whatever way they can. There's blokes out there that are just, I'm really good mates with the youngest guy to start a mental health charity in Australia, and he's screaming for help. So anybody wants to jump on. Maddie's out there. I've got the boys that live in, the Ben Higgs from the Rice Foundation. These are just a few people that are out there doing amazing things. And they're little guys. That's the thing.
Can you share that young guy that started the mental health? Can you share him with me? I wouldn't mind chatting with him.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, that's Matt Runnels, Mindful Oz. I'll send you the link and stuff to his.
That'd be great.
I'll send you his number if you like. I'm sure he'd love to have a chat with you. So
yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal young man. His story it blows me away. I've heard it numerous times, and every single time it's just amazing. Very wise to where he is.
I bet. Pat, I'm going to throw a tough one at you, if that's all right.
Love it.
Make sure you're sitting down. Go back to grade 8, 9, 10, and the bully.
Yep.
what would you say to that person these days?
Pull your head in. What do you think you're doing? I'm not saying that to you. That's what I say to me.
I knew what you meant. It's all right.
Yeah. Who do you think you are? That's the big one. You know, and why are you doing this?
Mm.
The biggest one is why are you doing this? Because there's a reason behind everything you do.
Sure.
You do everything for a reason. What is that reason? You know, like, why are you doing this? Should we confront this head on? Let's confront this head on. You know, like let's sit down and have a chat. Tell me, why are you picking on these kids?
Mm.
What have they done to you? So,
is it fair to say that there's as much of that I need help thing going on for the bully as there is for the victim?
It's huge, mate. Massive. I believe. Look, you know, it's sort of. There's no study. I don't think there's studies, but I don't believe in stats anyway. But I'd nearly put it on there that most, 90% of bullies have underlying problems, and this is their way of acting.
Sure, or they're probably getting bullied themselves at home or by older brothers, sisters, parents, whatever, perhaps, right?
Yeah. That's sort of what I put it down to. So. Everybody's got underlying issues. Everybody needs to talk. It doesn't matter who you are, what your background is, where talk. Have a chat, because that talk could potentially not only save your life, but save the life of that kid that you're bullying into the ground. That's the big one, because you don't really realise what you're doing to other people until it's too late. Like you hear a lot of youth suicide is bully related, whether it be online or in person. It's you don't realise that you're doing that to a person. What you think is all fun and games could be detrimental to somebody else's life. So it's
exactly. It's there's a lot to be said for having empathy and thinking about how is what I'm doing going to land on this other person.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe when you're 13, 14, 15, you just don't have the capacity yet to take that on board.
Exactly right. And that's why when I speak openly about my story, like I make a point, because I've spoken to a few schools, and I make a point while I'm speaking at the schools of bringing up the fact that I was a bully, and I was bullied previously. Because I need kids to know that you're not cool if you're a bully. You're definitely not cool if you're a bully, and I don't care what anyone thinks. You're clearly seeking attention, and by bullying someone, you're getting it. Why are you seeking attention? So
exactly.
I bring that out. I bring that out whenever I do my talks, and that's usually why I hang around afterwards, so that these people can come up and chat to me, because I feel like I can relate to, or the kids can relate to me and my story a bit, because I go back to my school days. So it's something that they have, I suppose, if they have that opportunity to open up and have a chat. Hopefully, I can help them break that cycle. But,
exactly.
Like I said, if I don't, I don't. If I do, I do. If I never find out about it, I never find out about it.
I want to start to wrap it up, but I've got a couple more before we finish, and I think they're important questions. One of them is someone who was in the situation of, for example, like your wife was, living with someone or in a close some sort of relationship or friendship, or a workmate even, or even a son and daughter, that thinks there might be something going on, but is not quite sure how to approach it or address it or to bring it up.
Yep.
What would your advice be to that person?
That's the person that's looking to help their friend?
Correct. That there's just an assumption there might be something going on. So for your wife, she would kind of ask, and you would always brush it off, so she would leave it. but there was something going on and you just didn't want to, for whatever reason, you didn't want to talk about it with her. Um, what, knowing what you know now, what could she have done differently?
Look, I don't think there's anything she could have done differently. I think what she was doing was spot on. And I think that also had a big part in the reason why I'm still here today. Because, you know, she constantly checked in. And, you know, like, I've sort of come to, like I said before, I've sort of come to realise a lot more recently after talking. But she constantly checked in. She'd always ask how I was, because my emotional state was a lot to do with, I had underlying anger issues and stuff like that as well. And so, you know, she'd always ask, why am I angry? Like, why am I cranky? I don't know. I just am. You know, like, I just am. But she'd always ask. And that's the one thing that I can't put out there enough, is just keep asking. Keep asking. If it's not you, or if they're not going to respond to you, ask somebody else to ask, or somebody that's close to that person as well. Don't just ask Joe Blow from down the street, obviously, but ask somebody else that's close with that person to ask them. Ask as well.
And I liked what and we kind of touched on this before, and you'd said, once you ask, then be prepared to listen.
Exactly right. That's the biggest part. That is most definitely the biggest part. Don't just ask as a flying conversation, not as if you're walking past them. Sit them down and have a chat with them. Sit them down, grab a coffee, as we've done.
Exactly.
Grab a coffee, sit down and have a chat. You know, if it's a couple of blokes out there and coffee's not your thing, go and have a beer together. You know, either way, make it a comfortable environment. One thing with blokes, and this is something I'd spoken to a mate of mine about, is something that I want to bring up around here as well, and that's just going to have a kick at the footy or having a barbecue, and giving each person an opportunity to cook a couple of snags if they want to speak. Barbecues, passing the footy, kicking the footy, they're some of the best conversation starters you'll get. Sitting around a fire, some of the best conversation starters. Because with men, we're not looking into each other's eyes while we're talking, while we're cooking a barbecue. You're not looking into somebody's eyes. So it's a lot easier to talk to them.
Got it.
You know, when you're kicking a footy, you're concentrating on where that ball's going. You're not looking into
That's
their
right.
eyes. So, you know, it's easier to talk to them.
Yeah.
And they're just a couple of things. So, look, fellas, if you're watching this, and you feel like your mate's having a bit of trouble, go have a kick at the footy with them. You know, go and have a barbecue, or you know, go and shoot some pool or something like that. Do something so that you don't have to stare into each other's eyes.
But in saying that too, Pat, like I think you're right. I think initially it can be a little bit uncomfortable, not just for the person that's listening, but the person that's going to divulge their story, right? But I think at some point too, that the intensity and the importance of what they're saying will override any of that nerves and embarrassment or shyness. Like, you know, mate, I'm happy. You're a good looking bloke, and I'm happy to look into your eyes. But I'm more passionate about your story and what that's going to do for so many other people. Yeah. You know, if I just met you on day one, it might be a different story. But exactly. You know, it's just building that relationship, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And you know, like it's sort of, as you said, you know, it's building that relationship and getting to know each other and stuff like that. But, you know, as an example, you know, work colleagues, for example, you know, you only see each other.
Good example.
You don't sort of have that outside friendship, you know, and you're at work, as we stated earlier, you're at work majority of your life. So it's sort of, it's sort of, with that sort of things, your workmates are usually going to see the changes as well. So if you're a workmate and you don't have that trusting friendship with the person, that's when I'd suggest going to have a kick of the footy.
Exactly.
You know, or go and sit in the toilet next to him and have a chat maybe that way. You know, sort of like what do they do? The confession. And,
yeah.
You know, so.
Sure, and I think too, like depending on the work situation you're in, but like as you're talking, then I'm becoming aware of my role at work, and I'm guilty, and funnily enough, I've just been thinking about this in the last couple of days when a workmate is talking to me and I'll still be looking at my screen,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
I'm listening to them, but I'm still on the screen tapping away, and I'm very conscious of stopping what I'm doing and giving them the attention that they deserve because,
Yeah.
I think if I want to build that relationship with my workmate, I have to give them the time, and it's exactly the same with what we're talking about. Secondly, I used to run a couple of gyms, and I would often think that people that were coming in to see us, it might be the only human interaction they have that day where they have some sort of conversation, even if it's as small as, hey, how you going? Have a good workout. That might be all they have all day long. So, as you say, you can start to see what normal is for people. And when that normal starts to become different, even if it's just someone passing in the gym, ask them how they're going,
Yep.
haven't seen you for a couple of days. You're still working out. You're still doing your thing, and that might just be the difference that they need to pick up Lifeline on the phone or whatever it is, right?
Mate, something I've learned is kindness costs nothing. Does not cost a single cent, kindness,
Mm,
and we can sprinkle that shit everywhere.
mm,
That's sort of something that I like to try and demonstrate as much as I can by, even as little as going and buying an extra cup of coffee while I'm at the coffee shop, but not taking it, leaving it there for
got
the
it.
next person.
Paying it forward, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Paying it forward's a big thing. It's and
It makes you feel good as much as the
yeah,
other person, right?
exactly right, mate. Exactly right. And like waving at people, smiling at people.
Mm.
You may look like a weirdo waving and smiling, right? All you do is talk. But if I can walk past someone, I say good day to everybody I walk past. That's
Mm.
just me, and that's who I am. But I always say it with a smile on the face, because if you're gonna say something, you've got to mean it.
Mm.
And I'm not just saying it because you're walking past me. I'm saying it because I want to say hello to you. So everybody is fighting a battle that we don't know anything about.
Exactly.
By giving someone that smile and that good day, that wave, um, that could be, as you said before, with the gym, that could be the only interaction they have with the person for the day. That could also be the reason why, instead of walking into their room and writing out a suicide note, they walk out the back and they go and throw the ball for the dog, or
Mm.
they do something completely different. That could be
The whole world changes
exactly
direction.
right.
Mm.
Exactly. It could be just that shift that they need. And that's why I absolutely love that saying. Like, kindness costs nothing. It's one of the best ones there. And by being kind to people, mate, yeah, sure, there are people out there that you just want to throw to the ground, but there's no point. Life's too short.
Sure. And they've got shit going on too, right? Even those
Exactly
people.
right. Exactly right, mate. Exactly. And as I said, everybody's fighting a battle that we know nothing about.
Mm.
So we've all got our own battles to fight. Some may seem worse to others, but at the end of the day, I'm not saying my life's worse than yours. You're not going to say that your life's worse than mine, because neither of us know.
Everyone's got their stuff.
Exactly right, mate. Exactly.
Great chatting to you, Pat. How you
You
feeling?
too, man.
Feel all right?
Mate, yeah, look, I'm good as gold. I'm an open book now, so I share my story, not so much on a daily basis, but definitely weekly. I definitely talk about my life, and mate, I've learnt now how to look after it and just keep smiling and living. So
It must be good when you get into the schools and you're able to chat to that many kids and impart your experiences onto them.
yeah, 100%, mate. It's fantastic to know that they're getting the education that we didn't get at that age.
Mm.
It just blows my mind now that I'm able to be able to do that. Like, one, even just going into a school to talk is phenomenal in its own right. But then, two, to talk about something that you're so passionate and you love so much. I won't say love so much, but passionate about, certainly, that something that they're also going to take away, a very important lesson in life. it's just, yeah, mate, it's mind blowing.
Especially getting in at that young age where, you know, I know for me that I never had something like that through school. And
Yeah.
every person in my grade who, you know, went into the scary real world and didn't have that knowledge from someone like yourself come in and say, hey, you're going to have dark thoughts. You're going to have experiences that aren't fantastic. Here's some strategies. You know, we never had that. So it's such a good thing.
It's true, mate. And you know, like my page is 3 words: mental health awareness. You know, awareness is one thing. Education's the key, though.
Mm.
You know, we can make people aware of everything, but what they do with it's up to them. Once you educate them, then they've got that with them for life. So, you know, we need more education in the world, instead of, you know, like at school you've got PE. You know, why isn't there an ME?
Yeah, 100%.
So, yeah, look, and schools have come a long way now, compared to back when, like as we were saying, back when we were at school. It's they've definitely come a long way now, but you know, there's still plenty of room for improvement, and hopefully with the work that I'm doing and so many other amazing people in not only Australia but the globe are doing as well, mate. Hopefully things will change sooner rather than later. So,
well said,
okay.
mate. I want one of those hats. You make it look very attractive.
Oh, thanks,
Can I get that? Can I get it off your site, off the page, or what?
Mate, well, there's only one in circulation, actually.
Oh, is that right?
This is it. Yeah, I've had numerous
limited edition.
Yeah, mate, I've got it. I was in Vegas last year for a mental health conference, and while I was over there, I seen this shop called Lids, and it was just hats, floor to ceiling of hats. And I walked in there, and I'm a bit of a hat freak. I don't mind the old cap. And I walked in, and I seen this big machine there. And I'm like, what does that do? And they're like, oh, we do hats while you wait. I'm like, are you kidding me? You're joking. So I got them. Yeah, I got them to do that for me.
I like it.
I've had a lot of people want me to do them, but I've just got to try and find the right supplier that can do it with a good quality hat, so that lasts. But right, yeah, look,
keep me posted.
Details. Yeah, man. Yeah, send me your details, and I'll. I was going to say I'll send you up a hoodie or something, but it's too bloody hot in Brisbane. I'll send you up a couple of shirts or something, man.
Awesome, mate. Yeah. So great to chat to you, Pat. Thanks for your time, bud.
You too, man. Thank you very much, and it's been awesome chatting with you too.
Definitely. See you, buddy.
All the best, bud. Bye.
You too, mate.